I stand in the higher ground.
Sure stone. The Burren is what they call a karst landscape, and it was formed about 350 million years ago in the seabed of the ancient oceans. And when tectonics took over, this is what was pushed up out from beneath under the sea. And that's why we have a warm landscape today.
It's about 300 square miles in extent, and it's defined by the presence of bare limestone. It absorbs the heat in summertime, and in wintertime when the cattle are lying on this, it's like an underfloor heating system. And the name Burren itself means place of stone in Gaelic.
The human story in these hills is very old. It's 6,000–7,000 years old, like so. You know, I always felt a sense of awe. You know, you'd stand up there on that ledge up there. There are old graves up there older than the pyramids of Egypt. When you'd look across that valley, the depth and breadth of our human story in these hills. You know, to be part of that symphony of life, to be part of that conversation. You know, to be farming here. I think it's, you know, like it's as good as it gets, really. Like, you know.
Four old pigs. Oh, you're made to go, sure. You're made to go. I know you are. These are the workers, really. Seldom you'll hear people relating to cows as the workers, but they are. Because without them, the burn or the terrain wouldn't look the same. Because they had kept it that way by grazing it and keeping it as it is. Men will improve at a certain amount, and he also can disimprove it.
All we are doing is doing what our ancestors for 3,000 and 4,000 years had mastered at that time. We graze these lands in the winter time, which is alien to the rest of Europe. And by the springtime then it's ate out and the cattle go to the lowlands for the summer, for the green pastures. And this is growing all through the summer to complete the cycle.
The Burren is kind of strange, okay? At one level you can view the Burren as an environmental catastrophe. Farmers cleared all the woodland, the soil is washed away and you get this bare skeleton landscape that you see today. But in the other perspective, farming by virtue of this really strange grazing system they have here called winter grazing, that practice is directly responsible for the presence of so many incredibly rare and wonderful plants here in the Burren. Without that farming, you take farming out, the Burren reverts to beautiful but not as interesting vegetation of scrub and woodland.
This is the yarrow, you know, harebell. When I see tormental there as well as the yellow flower, here we are. That's where we get all the seed. That's why we have alpine and Mediterranean and Arctic plants growing here. And it was the ice that came in the great chunks of ice. The seed came in the ice. You know, as someone described it one time like as a mad sower, like with seeds from all over the world and flowers and scattered it all over the Burren, like, you know. But it was the ice that came that left the seeds after it and shaped a lot of this landscape as well.
Just have a look anywhere down here. So this is some of the kind of the flora and fauna that you get in the Burren. It mightn't look like much now because it's finished flowering this year, but you can see a little plant here, a lovely white leaf underneath. This is a very special plant in the Burren. Here's the seed head from the plant. This is called mountain avens, and what's wonderful about this is an Arctic plant. It belongs normally in the Arctic Circle, but here in the Burren it grows at sea level. And it actually forms a carpet along the rock. You can see it growing along the rock here like this. The limestone is right underneath, then you've got this skin of mountain avens growing on top. Landscapes like this these aren't suitable for tillage, okay? So the choice here is you either farm them, graze them, or else, you know, you abandon them. So these grasslands actually sequester a lot of carbon as well. Now, so too does the scrub. But I think these permanent grasslands, which aren't ploughed and never ploughed, they also sequester a lot of carbon, which is captured by the animal in the form of meat. So I think in landscapes like the Burren, you know, there's always trade-offs to be had. Nothing is ever as simple as cattle, no cattle. That's a very simplistic binary argument. Here, by farming this landscape, you produce a whole set of values, from food to biodiversity to landscape to cultural values and all that kind of thing. And by farming today, we're retaining options for tomorrow.
One of the most beautiful things in the world, like, would have to be people in place, you know. And I think that's you know, someone's connection with their landscape. You know, it's, you know, that is one of the most beautiful things in the world, is people in place. Of all beauties, I think it is the most beautiful.